Before we jump in, a quick heads up. The opinions and stories shared by my guest are theirs, not necessarily mine. I'm a beauty enthusiast who loves bringing you new voices and ideas, but all thoughts, advice, and information you hear on the Beauty Biz Show podcast belong solely to the guest. And remember, nothing on this show is meant to replace professional or legal guidance. Now, let's dive into the good stuff. Welcome to the Beauty Biz Show. I'm your host, Lori Crete, a career-loving esthetician and beauty entrepreneur on a mission to empower fellow estheticians. If you are a solo or small business owning esthetician and you enjoy this podcast and curious about how we can work together, visit beautybizclub.com for mentorship and essential business growth tools. If you're looking to boost your retail sales and elevate client care, check out my line of luxury spa wraps and headbands at spastar.net. Now, join me as I bring you inspirational messages from beauty industry experts and practical tips to help you achieve beauty biz success. Get ready for some serious beauty biz entertainment. Hey everybody, welcome to the Beauty Biz Show. I'm your host, Lori Crete, and today I'm here with Amy Welsman from Paume. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Lori. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. I'm going to do something a little differently than I do at the beginning of the show. Will you just tell our listeners what type of product we're actually here to talk about today? And then I have a really interesting question to get us diving into the history of your creation. So what is it? What is Paume?
So Paume is elevated, sustainable, efficacious hand care. So skincare for hands.
Skincare for
Put
hands.
it simply. Yeah, put simply.
So most of my listeners are beauty entrepreneurs, estheticians. Either they're creators of products, they would love to create something for the market space and e-commerce. But what's interesting about you and what captured my attention was the fact you kind of did it reverse engineered from how most people create something. So you started in the e-commerce space and then created a product after you got all of that juicy knowledge and education. Is that correct?
Well, I was at another brand that was totally unrelated to beauty. So I guess yes, I learned about, and it wasn't, I did have exposure to kind of every element of the business in my previous role, but I was the first employee at NYX, which is a women's intimates brand. So yeah, I lived and breathed women's underwear for 5 years, huge departure for when I started Paume, but I got exposed to all sides of that business from pre-launch, launch, product development, wholesale partnerships, e-commerce, yes, but also operations and everything. So I really left that role, with a lot of, I guess, knowledge at the time, though, things have changed so much and, I've learned so much on the job, but I did come with some experience of bringing an idea to life, bringing a product to market, and growing it from there.
Okay. For some reason, I thought I read somewhere you had something to do with Shopify or e-commerce, like that was your specialty.
No, actually. In fact, I feel like my focus at NYX was much more on the wholesale side, believe it or not. E-commerce was an area that I was probably least familiar with leaving when I left NYX. So it's something that I've had to really educate myself on. But I did do, perhaps because I did work with Shopify when I left NYX on this Build a Better Business campaign, where I was sort of a specialist they brought in on the wholesale side, talking to brands about how to balance wholesale with e-commerce. Maybe that's where you got it from. But
I think I did. Okay.
yeah.
So I was thinking you had all this background, techie knowledge.
No, I wish.
I know that's
No.
that's every entrepreneur's dream, because we create this product and then we have to figure out how to get it out to the world, which right now is heavy in just online sales. So
It's so hard. Yeah, I love to talk about it, and I've learned so much through lots of mistakes, so we can definitely dive in on that area, but, yeah,
awesome.
no, unfortunately, I was sort of a newbie also entering that phase, so.
And then you created Palm because of like just wanting a very healthy, clean product. And I know it had something to do with when you brought a baby into the world.
Mhm. Yeah, I had my daughter, my first daughter, I have 2. But I had my first daughter in 2019, and yeah, becoming a mother for the first time, I mean, changes you in so many fundamental ways, but one thing I noticed just in, like, my daily habits was that I became a lot more aware of hand hygiene. I think you bring this newborn home from the hospital, and you're just so obsessed with, like, keeping it protected, and I was using hand sanitizer a lot throughout my day, just naturally being on the go or having visitors over, passing sanitizer around, and I just started to, look at the product a little more in depth than I had ever before and looked at the market and noticed that there really wasn't anything that was, better for your skin, more beautiful, that smell good. It was just sort of this very basic utilitarian product. Now, remember, this is before the pandemic, so the category really hadn't evolved or changed. So I was looking to disrupt that and create something that was more of a beauty product, like something that you'd want to use throughout your day, that was in your purse, that you were sort of proud to take out. It looked beautiful, and then it felt really nice on your skin. That was the original inspiration. So elevated hand hygiene products for women, for mothers.
I don't think we realize that how much we transfer onto children. And when you said this, it triggered this memory. I don't have kids myself, but I remember my friend calling me and said, I'm a horrible mother. She said, I just took my baby to the doctors because I thought he had something wrong
Mhm.
with the skin on his face. She goes, and it was my spray tan that transferred onto his face
Oh no.
and created like this little brown mustache. So we don't realize, we're touching these little tiny things, babies all day long, and what we do transfer onto them. So,
Yeah.
but what divine timing for you? Because I remember hands were a big thing during COVID. How pre-COVID did you create this?
So we were a little behind like the big first wave. So the idea came to me in 2019, a year before COVID happened. I started to work on a business plan. I think a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to the whole like the year where you just sort of hum and haw and are like, do I take this leap? It's very rare that someone has an idea and then like jumps into it the next day. Like it's a huge calculated decision. So it took me about a year of like, putting stuff together, talking to people about it, throwing it around. And then when the pandemic hit, that was really like the push for me to really proceed. And I went out and incorporated and I raised money and I just like hit the ground running as quickly as possible. And then it wasn't until early 2021 that we launched with like our first sort of set of products, which included like a refill for this. So like the sanitizer travel bottle, the refill bag, which was a big component of it. And then this beautiful vessel that we custom designed at the time for the nursery, but also during pandemic kind of became like an everyday household item where you would have it in your front hallway, because people had sanitizer everywhere. That's changed a little bit now, but at the time it was very relevant. Um, and yeah, so we definitely were not there first. Like there were other brands that had maybe launched a year before that were there for that initial big wave. But I think what we decided to do is just really be thoughtful about how all the details. We didn't want to rush. I think there was a lot of pressure on me, especially because I had investors to like get to market as quick as possible. But I was really thinking long term, as much as the pandemic would help us initially with because there was a big spotlight on the category and people were, to your point, really interested in hand care. But I knew that we needed to get it right because I was trying to look at, 5, 10 years in the future and where we'd be. So, but yeah, 2021, and we've been kind of evolving ever since. But that was really like the initial concept.
So tell me about the first product. Was it actually a hand sanitizer that you created first? Okay.
Mhm.
And tell like I created a luxury product, a luxury spa wrap during COVID.
Yeah.
So are you in Canada? Is that where you're
Yes, we're
located?
based here, but yeah, we sell mostly in the US. But yeah, we're based in Canada.
So let's talk a minute about the pressure because I get it. First of all, you have investors and you have an idea and you want it done right and you have the pressure. And then I say my luxury product creation, it's a luxury spa wrap.
Mhm.
I think it was more a lesson in humanity than business for me because of creating something during that moment. Did you have struggles with the vessel and getting stuff made and shipped and all of that craziness?
Oh yeah. Everyone always says like, oh, you launched in the pandemic, like a sanitizer in the pandemic, and you thought about it a year before. Like, that's amazing. Like, what an amazing way to launch a product. I'm like, it was a blessing and a curse. Like, the blessing was, as I said before, big spotlight on the category, demand for the product. So great. Whereas if I had launched 3 years prior, I would have been maybe a little bit more education around why you need this product. Everyone knew why they needed it. So that was great. However, on the production side, it was extremely challenging. I mean, just getting like Health Canada, FDA approvals, the rules kept changing on packaging guidelines, especially in Canada. Health Canada kept changing stuff. So, like, in some cases, we'd made packaging that then became like uncompliant and we had to like reorder. Like, it was a real test of, yeah, of resiliency. And there were many moments in that first year where I was like, I could stop and, quit while I'm ahead. And
Why
then
didn't you?
that's okay. Oh, I mean, I think because I have investors, I felt like I had to do right by them. And that was a big part of it. I think that was probably most of it, honestly, is that people had put their faith in me. But also, I think too, I really thought I had a great idea and I was really proud of the product that we made. Like, it really was very unique. It had this really unique formula with this emollient that really does hydrate your skin. It feels almost like more like a hand serum slash sanitizer. It smelled so good. It does smell, I should say. I shouldn't speak in past tense. It's still very much around, a big part of our portfolio of products, but it smells really good. I was just really proud of it. And it really is and remains, I would say, like, different than what else is on the market. So I knew it deserved its moment in the spotlight. However, there were definitely moments where I'm like, is everyone working against me right now? So, however, it's a great test of resilience. Like, when you launch a product, like, it's never easy. I think the first piece of advice I ever received from someone was like, if like, expect the chaos. Like, you have to expect it. And if it doesn't happen, then like maybe something's wrong. Like, maybe it's too easy. Like, at the end of the day, like, it's if this were easy, everyone would do it, right? And
Yes, and I wish somebody would. I knew if this were easy, everyone would do it, but I wish somebody would have told me to expect the chaos. What kept me going was actually my product or my fabric was sitting on a cargo ship for 3 months. I couldn't turn back. They weren't going to ship it back, but it was that whole time. I don't know if you remember that in Long Beach, California, where they just couldn't even get the ships to shore. And yeah,
yeah,
so I mean, I'm not going to swim out there and get it myself. I learned patience too.
I think a lot of people. Well, remember there was a lot of time. Yeah, I was stuck on cargo ships. Like, yeah, people
Yeah,
are.
it
There were
was.
moments of like, maybe I will have to swim into the ocean and get my stuff.
I had nothing else to do, so I was starting to think about it, and then it all did end up working out as it always does. So
Good.
when you was it that product that went viral on TikTok that kind of got you seen and exposure for the brand?
I would no, actually, I mean, listen, we had some like very lucky moments. We had um a couple celebrities like get their hands on the product somehow. Well, we were approached by this celebrity nail artist in LA who's like in the peak of the pandemic was like, I'm still seeing all my clients. I want something nice to use and to give them during their treatments. And can you send me some product? Her name was Kimmy Keys. She's awesome. And we just sent her a bunch of product and she ended up getting it into the hands of like so many incredibly influential people. Like, there was nothing, like, money never exchanged hands. Like, it was just this goodwill kind of thing. And then about 6 months later, like, things popped up. So like Adele, for example, posted from her record launch party, I believe it was in like 2022, of her like tablescape with her plate and like a drink. And then there was the Palm bottle, like, just sitting at her table. It's like, it was so crazy, things like that. Of course, she didn't tag us. It's not like we like saw sales from it, but it was this moment of like, oh my gosh, like, and I heard, other
They're loving
celebrities
it.
like use the product. And, I got into so-and-so's hand and I'd be like, great, or she wanted more. And it was all kind of like this fun buzz generator. But, I would say we didn't actually experience virality until a few years later. And that was with our hand serum, which actually kind of marks like the transition in our brand. I wouldn't say it's away from hand hygiene, more just an expansion of our offering. So while hand hygiene was like our primary focus for the first few years, we did end up, evolving into more of a hand care brand, skincare for hands. There really isn't um, any other brand really talking about a skincare routine for your hands, despite the fact that there's a huge consumer demand for products that have real skincare ingredients in it for your hands. I think millennials and older, like we're all using all the technology available to us. We're looking great. Like there's lots of pop culture analysis about like how great millennials look and how young we look. um and we're investing a lot in our skincare and our taking care of our faces, but we often neglect our hands. So there's this point in life where you look down and you're like, oh wow, I've been taking such good care of my face, my hands need a little TLC. So we're trying to talk about this idea of a skincare routine for your hand. Doesn't need to be complicated, but keep them hydrated. Use real skincare ingredients like vitamin C and gallic acid and niacinamide and all those things that you would put on your face that target brown spots and skin tone and texture. And this idea of using a hand serum was something that was sort of a little revolutionary. Like no one was really talking about this. So we had this moment in 2024 where this woman on TikTok, Christina No H is her handle. She's this like incredibly influential skincare person, and we sent her a serum like when we launched the product. And I think it was a year later when she finally posted, and she created this video that was like, this product is better than the La Mer hand cream that I used to use. Here's why. She was waxing poetic about it and ended up getting a million views. And then it got picked up by a bunch of like the Daily Mail, and it became like this clickbait article about like, a dupe for La Mer. It's only $42. It was quite a sensation, and we could obviously have never predicted that or planned it. It just sort of happened. And it was great. And that actually moment, I think, defined like our like next wave of momentum. And it really was driven by this idea of taking care of our hands in a more thoughtful way. I mean, I think also, when you think about hand creams, you think about fragrance companies making a hand cream in the scent that is very popular. If you actually look at the ingredient panel, like it's nothing special. It's like a pretty basic formula. Typically, it's all about the fragrance. Or there are body care brands that do make hand creams. For sure, there's a million hand creams out there, but no one is like defining it as a routine in the way that we are. No one's looking at all the individual unique needs of the hands and like creating products for that, whether it's like a nail strengthener or an anti-aging serum or an overnight mask to really help with like dry eczema, patchy skin, like really chronic hand care issues that people suffer from. And then obviously taking like more nourishing ingredients and putting them in hand hygiene products, which typically have been kind of skin drying and not particularly good for you. So we've really, and I think our focus on this body part, which you might say is niche, but everyone does have two of them. And they are, a body part that I think more and more people are paying attention to. So we've been able to kind of grow into that, defining the category, if you will.
So I have been writing down questions that I want to ask you with everything you just shared, because I'm still a working esthetician. And not only am I still a working esthetician, I have a lot of snowbirds, Canadians, and women that are 50 years old and plus, let's just say that, right? And at the very end of a face, and I always pay attention to the hands because I see it. I see the face looks 25 and the hands look 50 years old and plus. So it's in front of me every day if I'm being honest and realistic about the clients that I see. But at the very end of my facials, I have this little ritual that my clients crave. And it's simply, I put some essential oils on their wrists and I just have them take a few deep breaths with their hands in front of their nose, almost like in a prayer position. And almost every woman that does that says to me, God, my hands look awful. And so I then created a different part of the ritual where I put lotion on their hands at the very end and just kind of hold them there, because I don't know. It's just crazy how you're right. A little hand lotion can make a world of difference in confidence and anti-aging. I know that word is not really supposed to be used anymore, but it is what my clients are saying.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. 100%. And it's funny because we talk a lot about, this experience of like taking care of our faces and then looking down at our hands and going, and it sounds, I even don't even like to say it in a way because I know that I don't like to, we should never be like screaming about a body part because like, we are all beautiful from head to toe. However, it is a concern that people bring to me, like the amount of conversations I've had, the amount of like, no one is ever like, look how nice my hands are. It's
I
very
know.
rare. And I go to a lot of trade shows. We do a lot of consumer events. We talk to people about hand care, hours and hours and hours of my life, the last 5 years talking about hands. And everybody is so critical and everybody says the same thing, which is like, my hands are aging me. My hands are making me look older. They'll also always say, my grandmother always said, take care of your hands because they show your age first. And anyway, people are talking about this and, we can say it in any way we want, but like there is a need and there is a desire for keep our hands keeping up with our face. So that's what we're also trying to do.
And honestly, I think in this day and age, I'm a big proponent of self-care. It's why I created the spa wrap. It's why it's what I do as an esthetician. And I think we need to really focus on these moments. Moments is the word. And for me, my hands are beat up because they're in water a lot at work. And it is a moment for me when I wash my hands to put something on that feels good and smells good. And I know is doing a little correction. So I don't walk around with bloody knuckles all winter.
Yeah.
It is a thing and we need to focus on it. And I love that there's a specific product for it. And I can't wait to try your serum. Does it absorb? So that's my biggest pet peeve. Like I want to go on with my day after my moment and not feel sticky or like I'm making everything in my home greasy. And was that a factor in the creation of Paume?
Definitely. I mean, it's one of the things, because people often ask like, what's the difference between your hand serum and like what I put on my face that has a vitamin C in it or whatever. And I'll often say, we've specially formulated these products with like the needs of the hands in mind and like where you're applying this product. Yeah, you can put our serum on your face. It's actually great. I put it on my face all the time. However, what's great about it is it does absorb quickly. It has a hyaluronic acid is like the base of it. And then we have this active complex that has what I listed earlier. So like vitamin C, gallic acid, niacinamide, a bioretinol. It absorbs quickly. It's meant to not feel like you've put anything on, to be honest. And then same with our lightweight everyday hand cream. Like our probiotic hand balm is this like, it's very lightweight and non-greasy because everything had to be catered to that. I hate the feeling of really greasy, thick stuff on my hands. And I like to be able to pull up my phone and not feel like I'm smudging the screen. So we were very careful when we formulated to like keep those things in mind. And also I think price point's another distinguishing factor. We buy these serums for our faces that are often very inflated, like price wise. And, you just need a little bit and all that. But like, because people do say, oh, I just put my skincare on my hands. But we make a serum that's like a very affordable price point for the ingredient quality and the concentration of the ingredients. So you can really slather it on and not feel too precious about it. So another distinguisher for our serum, but you can absolutely put on your face in reverse if you want. But I would say it's great for the hands. Just for all those reasons.
So I find there's two types of skincare inventors. Those who are literally in their kitchen mixing formulas and testing, or those who work with a lab. Which direction did you take when you started the creation?
Definitely a lab. I have no business mixing anything in my kitchen. I know my lanes and I stick in them. I worked with a lab. I worked with a few labs, but we have one main partner now who has helped develop like most of the more clinical products we're making. And yeah, they're great. They're based in Canada. We work very collaboratively. And I think it's fun for them because there aren't really any brands doing what we're doing right now. So it's fun for them to get creative and, we have to be really mindful when we formulate too of like, what's something that's really needed. You can get kind of carried away. And it's like, there's only a maximum number of things people are willing to put on their hands. I mean, I feel like the face has become almost an unlimited territory, but, though I do think there's this trend back to like simplifying our routines. But I know for us, we're very much like, how do we pack as much benefit into one product? Can we do like we have a cuticle cream, for example, that's like, it's a much more sophisticated version of a cuticle oil. It's in a cream form, but it has like an oil finish. So it has this really nice, like glossy effect, but without being too greasy. So you're not dripping in oil everywhere. It's very easy to apply, but it also has biotin and keratin in it. So it's a nail strengthener. It also has a bunch of rich emollients. So it softens your cuticles. Like it does a bunch of things versus doing like, a nail strengthener product and a cuticle softener and, we're able to kind of like pack it all in into one. And just like our serum tackles brown spots and texture, not just, one or the other. So we're trying to be mindful of like what people are willing to do with their hands and try to keep it succinct. But I think your point about self-care is so important. We have products that a lot of them are focused on nighttime. Like we have an overnight glove. We even have an overnight sock for one of our products too. Like feet is kind of like a territory we're creeping into. But this, we have these nighttime routines. It's like, okay, use our cleanser that's exfoliating to really like cleanse your hands. It's such a beautiful feeling to like at the end of a long day, like exfoliate your hands. Like it's such a nice experience. Can't recommend it enough. So that, and it also like sets your skin, preps your skin. And then, you apply the serum and then you can put the nail cream on and then you take the mask and you just slather it on your hands to really slug it in and trap everything in, throw on the gloves. And it's just such a nice routine in the evening. So yeah, we talk a lot about self-care. I mean, even the sanitizer out of the gate was a self-care product. A lot of our messaging that remains, like our taglines, be in touch. It's all about I think during the pandemic when we were creating the brand, we were all feeling so disconnected from ourselves and our families and our friends and humanity in general, especially in Canada. I know in the US, there were some more lenient rules around, bubbling and all that. But in Canada, we were truly isolated. And yeah, I just loved this idea of having a product that gave you that aromatherapy experience, nourished your hands, made them clean enough so you could then touch someone and connect with them, like that idea of connection. So we've carried that messaging and that thread throughout the brand as we've evolved it too. It's a little less on the nose, but I would say it's important to talk about ritual when talking about a skincare routine. So it just brings it more joy, I don't know, to do and not a chore. Make it something enjoyable.
My whole world, I love marketing, and my whole world is listening to women, so I know how to market in the beauty space. And I will say the days of I don't have enough time to care for myself are over. And now it's moved into efficient care. And I think you've nailed it. I wrote down the words as you were speaking. It's like multifunctional simplicity. That's what people are looking for. Something that does a lot of things, but I can add it to my life with ease. So I love that. Just a quick message, and then we're jumping right back into the episode. Many of you know this already, but I've been looking for a new assistant manager, one that supports my esthetician life and my treatment room life. And today, I get to share something that genuinely lights me up. I found my new treatment room assistant manager, and it's going to surprise you when you find out who I chose to support me while I'm working on clients. It's a new to me all-in-one platform for scheduling, payments, marketing, and much more. And it really feels like it was made for small business estheticians. It's called Gloss Genius, and I'm officially obsessed. First, it's designed to help build an aesthetics brand. I believe in support that feels elevated and luxurious because this helps us stand out, and Gloss Genius nails this. Second, it's actually really easy to use for you and for your clients. No clunky menus, no confusion, no where do I click next? None of these moments. Clients don't have complicated logins just to book an appointment. It's just smooth, smart design that works with ease. Third, every feature purposefully helps your business grow, whether it's rebooking to bring a client back in or low payment processing rates that help you actually keep more of your money that you earn. This platform never stops looking out for you. And you know how rare that is in our industry? It's so refreshing to see a company who actually understands the margins that beauty businesses have to work with. But here's what really sealed the deal for me. Gloss Genius was founded by two powerhouse sisters who are deeply passionate about helping entrepreneurs thrive. They're committed to innovation, education, and helping our businesses grow while cutting out the stress that comes along with it. Their whole mission is to help beauty biz owners grow with technology that empowers us instead of overwhelms us. And honestly, you can feel their heart in every feature. And trust me, I get it. Switching platforms can feel intimidating, but Gloss Genius makes the process simple and possible. So if you've been looking for a business software that is gorgeous, client-friendly, and built by people who respect and advocate for beauty and wellness entrepreneurs, this is it. I'm thrilled to welcome Gloss Genius as part of the Beauty Biz Show, and even more excited for you to experience what I've found: a fresh start, a powerful platform to help you grow, and a company that truly gets us. If your business is ready for next level, Gloss Genius is waiting for you. Because when your systems support you, you get to focus on the beauty that you're here to create. So click the link in the show notes or the link in my Instagram bio at Lori_BeautyBiz to learn more and use my code BeautyBizShow to experience your first 2 months of Premier Tier for half off. I'm curious, and I want to go back, and these are some of my most fun conversations when they're a little all over the place, because you're sparking my curiosity, like when we are, like, oh wait, let's bounce back here, let's go there, because I'm truly curious about the things that you share. I want to know, when the gal shared the story on TikTok and you started were you prepared for it? And if so, yes, how? And if not, where did you have a little bit of a hiccup?
Yeah, so we were definitely not prepared. I would say we hadn't, yeah, no, we sold out within, it was pretty fast sellout. And then we had a 3 month of being out of stock. So that was unfortunate. But during that period, we got to like really build the buzz and like get a wait list going. And like, you can make like, life presents you with opportunities, and that you can see them as challenges, which they are, but you can also like seize them and try to like manipulate them to your advantage. So I think in our case, like, it was a good problem to have. When you sell a lot of our product because you've gone viral, it's like genuinely a good problem to have. So hard to complain. However, I think we were like, okay, what do we do in the meantime to like sustain people's attention and also, keep people, engaged, not only with the brand, but with the product. So we amassed a wait list, and we made sure that by the time we did get restock, we had a really, we were able to make up for that period. But yeah, you can never expect and plan these things. And I think a lot of brand founders talk about this, is like even chasing it is, it can be very futile and like very frustrating. Anytime I've
make
ever,
or break a brand. Nobody thinks about it. They go, oh, I want to go viral. I got to get it in this person's hands. I want to do this. And they don't understand it. It's business. You're going to have the good moments of it and then the challenging moments of going viral. So I appreciate your honesty with it.
Well, I also think that the conditions of the virality are important. So like, there are examples of a lot of brands that have gone viral on TikTok, and it's been this incredible, maybe it's a year, it's like sustained them for a year, and it's maybe tied to a cultural moment or something. Like, I can almost think of some examples around like the Eras tour, for example. You hear these brands that just like went crazy because of some sort of serendipitous thing. And then after that year, things tend to kind of like taper off. And in my case, like, that was always my fear with virality in a way. It's like, I wouldn't want to build a brand that was like reliant upon that kind of attention, because it's hard to sustain that. And it also means like sometimes what goes up must come down in a way. Like, you just can't sustain that kind of momentum for too long. So I've always been like very much the slow and steady approach kind of gal, like even when it comes to our growth, and our just like the health of our business. Like, I would rather, double in a year, or maybe less than double, but like be profitable, for example. Like, when I see other brands that are like, yeah, we like 10x in 1 year because of X, Y, and Z. And it's obviously, that's amazing to have that kind of momentum. But like, it's, as I said, the other side of that can be really hard. You can go out and raise money, say, off that kind of momentum. And then when things taper off, inevitably, it can be really hard, just as psychologically, but also from a business standpoint. You've hired all these people and your supply chains, and then things change. So for me, like, I've been as much as that viral moment was really an amazing thing for us and really set us on this new course. I don't like chase it actively if it happens. The other thing I'll say too is, I think your expectations need to be managed, because we've had things where like I was convinced it would go viral. It was going to be the magic bullet. Even like Adele posting, I was like, oh, well, this is like a new but like we barely got any sales from that. Like it was not a brand defining moment for us, but you think it might be in your mind. So again, it can kind of all make you crazy. I think like the best moments are the ones that you least expect, that you don't really plan for, and you can plant the seeds. We sent her product. We did do that. It wasn't totally random. But you just can't expect anything to come of anything. That's been my
It was a year later. So you
yeah,
probably
yeah, it was a year later. Oh my God. I thought she hated it. I was like, oh, clearly she doesn't like it. I guess moving on, like, and then it happened. So it's all, and even then she has lots of videos that don't go viral. I mean, I think it indicated that to us and to the world that, or not the world, but a lot of people that like clearly hand care is like a big hot topic and people are concerned about the look of their hands. So yeah, virality is a tough one, but it's great when
I'm curious, did it bring, because you said really your background was in wholesale, did it bring a lot of retailers to you with inquiries? Because it's so hard to get into stores and retail locations now as a wholesale, a
Yeah,
vendor. So did that help in that aspect of it?
I think it helped it like in a secondary way, in the sense that like we grew our followers on social media. We became like more known like in the media in general. Like I think it probably helped. I don't remember anyone reaching us being like, I saw this TikTok, I need to carry your product. It was not like a direct impact, but I would say it definitely helped fuel our growth, which then got us in front of the right people and from there. But I also think with wholesale too, I think buyers are becoming more conservative as well. Like they really are looking for legacy brands. Like they want the kind of brands that they're going to bring in that are going to be there in 10, 15 years,
Yeah.
or ideally longer. I think there maybe it was a time where virality or TikTok and Instagram had a larger impact, but I think now they really are looking for just like steady, consistent, like growing brands that are like have a unique offering, and that like seem like they're going to be here and have longevity. That's my
People don't
sense.
realize this, people who create products, and I've learned this lesson from, the past few years of having a brand. It's a lot of responsibility and paperwork for a buyer. Like if they're
Mm,
going to trust your brand to bring it in, they're also responsible to somebody in a corporation.
totally.
Right. They want it to sell. They want it to be around in 5 years, not need inventory, and you don't have any. It's an
Mhm.
interesting dynamic. Um, if you like, I don't know if you want to share this type of stuff, but I always find it interesting, and I know my listeners do too. Where are your biggest sales coming from? Your own website, brands? Are you on Amazon? Like, how is this all working for you?
I can give you the breakdown. I actually just did it because I was doing an
Okay.
investor report. So they're fresh in my mind. We're 60% direct to consumer through our website. So that's e-commerce
Yeah.
specifically .com. We are, I think this year, 15% Amazon and then the rest wholesale. Amazon's been a huge growing channel for us. We launched last spring, and of 2024 rather. And then in 2025, sorry, 2024 spring we launched. 2025, we more than tripled our sales in that channel. And that was with very little spend, like marketing spend. I think what it's proven to be is like a great catchment channel for us. So like we generally spend a lot of money on Meta. We are Meta junkies, unfortunately. And it's fueling all of our e-commerce, but it's also fueling Amazon and then our retail partners, to be honest, because we are on Ulta.com and we're on Nordstrom.com. So they see the halo effect of that, digital marketing effort. So yeah, so Amazon's been big, D2C, and then wholesale's obviously grown a lot this last year because of adding Ulta and expanding Nordstrom. This was our first year where we did like a proper holiday program with them. And we had a top 5 selling set for the entire month of November
That's amazing.
in beauty, which was a huge shock to me. The brands that we're up against is mind blowing. So that was crazy to me, but that was a huge milestone for us. And I think that's really kickstarted that momentum there. And then, yeah, we're just seeing sort of consistent growth across all the channels. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. I think starting direct to consumer is really hard if you're like, we've always been very omni-channel, just to protect us. Like, if you can find a good retail partner that's ordering pretty consistently, like the margins should be pretty good in wholesale, unless you're reinvesting a lot back into marketing. But with smaller partners, you shouldn't have to do that. I found wholesale to this day is more profitable than direct to consumer, because the amount of money we spend in marketing to feed that engine is huge. But they support each other nicely. And I think as a founder, like, I've talked to a lot of founders who are like, we're D2C only, like that's it. And I think like drawing that line in the sand can be risky, because you just never know how things are going to go. I think for us, it took us 2 years to figure out digital marketing and messaging and meta ads and actually building a proper funnel that was profitable. It took a lot of burning money and hitting my head against a wall for 2 years. And, agencies making promises, and like, it was not easy at all. And having wholesale to kind of keep us alive was really helpful in those early times. And then like when you do hit that, where you figure it out and your messaging just starts to work and you can scale, then you see that impact across all your channels. But you can control the data. And like, I think if you have a strong D2C engine, it just makes you stronger overall as you scale, because you own the data and your customer experience a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. So knowing that my listeners are solo practitioner estheticians, small business owners, and beauty entrepreneurs, and they love to shop, let's talk about how your wholesale program works, because I think this is something I'm going to be able to sell all day long in my treatment room.
I got to get you some stuff. So wholesale, we are on Fair. So Fair's been an amazing tool for us.
Fair's amazing.
Yeah, it used to be, because when I ran wholesale at NYX, so much of my job was calling people and chasing money and getting credit card number. Like the amount of admin work to support like a thriving independent business, like independent wholesale channel, it's nuts. And the number of reps we had, like it was a huge operation. It was a full-time job. So Fair's been like a massive unlock for us. We basically it's like passive income at this point. Like we're just there. We, of course we are very strategic about how we operate on the platform, trying to get top shop, or I have someone in-house who's like really become a very, knowledgeable Fair person, participating in the promos, making sure your minimum order isn't too high out of the gate, like all those things. There's lots of tips and tricks that you can do to kind of get that momentum. But once that system's in place, it's great. And then on the larger wholesale side, we do work with larger retailers. That's something that's growing a lot, as we're looking to hopefully expand in more doors with some of these partners. But that's also something I think I've always been extremely cautious about launching in mass retail too early. I think a lot of people or a lot of founders have this idea that, okay, I just need to get into 600 Target stores and then we're going to be a multi-million-dollar brand and all is going to go well. And it's like, if you don't have the brand awareness, the customer base, that social influence, it's really hard to do well at those retailers. We're still figuring it out. And I learned these lessons from NYX as well. It's like the shelf space does not equal sales, and you're responsible for selling. Like these retailers are not necessarily going to support you in the sense that they're not going to drive customers to discover you. Like you really have to have a plan in place to drive people to store. So for Nordstrom, for example, it's been a very slow, thoughtful growth plan. Like we just started on .com, then we did our holiday set program in all doors. Then now we're maybe going to do a Mother's Day thing. We are not in all doors yet at all. And honestly, there aren't a lot of more indie brands that are thriving at these retailers. Like you have to reach a certain level. So we're learning that experience. But I think the importance of retailer partners like you, like smaller wholesalers, these local, amazing shops that have really captured the attention of everyone in their region or in their town. Those are your best brand ambassadors. I love it.
People want to touch the product and feel the product and smell the product. And that's the beauty of, offline sales.
Or experience in a treatment. I mean, we work with a lot of estheticians. We work with nail bars. We work with spas, and we build custom treatments for them. We do a hand facial. And, we have back bar pricing and we tell them what to do and the whole ritual and like to teach this sort of like really nice hand care routine. And that's a huge selling driver for us. So really important. It's really an important thing to build before you jump into the Ultas and the Nordstroms and the Targets.
I was just talking to this skincare brand and she was so excited to get into Nordstrom's, and they placed like a $50,000 order. And right before it was supposed to go on the shelves, they called her and said, well, we've decided we don't want it anymore. We're going to send it to somewhere else, like outlet, or you can buy it back. And I don't think people realize, like, you have to be so smart with your money and so strategic and plan for anything, because it can change in a New York minute, in a second. So
absolutely. No, there's no risk to them.
Slow and steady.
Slow and steady. There's no risk to them. And we've been approached by a few retailers actually about, where they're like, okay, 600 stores, 700 stores, let's do this. Like, you must be so excited. And it's like, there's no way I could do that. Like, there's just no way. First of all, the amount of inventory you need to purchase, like all the stuff, all the implications. And I know a lot of brand founders who've been through that nightmare experience of an RTV. And it can, $50,000, talk about millions of dollars in POs when you're at like,
this was a smaller indie brand and she was so excited, and
it's so challenging. No, it's
challenging.
Yeah, no, we've all been through those sort of things. I think for us, we've just been, cause I guess like I'm so cautious. I've tried to fortify ourselves against that stuff, but we're about to take some pretty big leaps, I think, in the next year or so, and talk to me in a year.
All right. Well, how big is your team? Like, what kind of support do you have in-house?
We're lean. We're 6 people.
That's amazing.
Myself. Yeah. I'm really trying to keep it lean. I have this like mandate, my own personal mandate of just like, I think if you can find really killer people, which is hard, I'm not saying that's easy, but who you can give them a lot of responsibility, you can really empower them to like own their lane. And I just find that we haven't needed like a lot of hierarchy. Like, I don't have any like super senior level people on the team. A lot of them started with me in their early 20s and have grown with us. And like, my hope for the future is that like they will take over those really senior roles, like as they grow into them, which is cool. Cause I think, the temptation is always there, especially when you hit a certain revenue mark. And if you're profitable, to like, okay, we need to bring in like a CMO. And it's like, you don't need a CMO necessarily, unless you're doing like, at least 20 million, or more, I think you can really keep it lean and just have really smart people around you and use a lot of consultants. I do have, we're 6 full time. I also have an external person managing Amazon and an external team that's managing our meta ads. So they feel like part of the business every day. And then we also have a UX like developer guy who's like essential. And so they feel like they're permanent, but they are consultants. But
this is something I'm personally curious about, and not a lot of people will talk about it, but the whole tariffs and distribution in the US, has that been challenging to you over the last year?
So more like an existential threat, I would say. Luckily, we're because when we launched 5 years ago, we had a healthcare product. Like, sanitizer is really hard to ship over the border, especially during the pandemic. So we were forced to set up like a US operation really fast. We had a US 3PL or fulfillment center in the US out of the gate. We've never fulfilled from Canada. So we've always shipped bulk product over the border to Canada, and that's always been protected under USMCA, which I know now, hopefully, we'll see, might get ripped up. But for now, we have been duty free, and we've been able to more or less like not be impacted by the tariffs. We have had some Chinese accessories that have been impacted. That's been difficult. But generally, I think a lot of the challenges Canadian brands were facing out of the gate was just they were distributing from Canada to the US using that de minimis, where they could ship like duty free anything under $500. And that when that went away, that was like a major impact on people. So we've been lucky so far, but it's always there. Even this weekend, there were some tweets that I was like, oh my God, 100%. I was like, ah, but
I'm
I
glad
have to
you're
just
talking about it because I feel like there's so much fear and so much it's really truly speculation at this point, but people are so negative about it. And for me, it hasn't affected my business and the manufacturing of it at all. At all.
that's great. Yeah. Well, you're mostly probably made in the US, or you made where are you? Yeah.
My fabric is made overseas and then shipped here and manufactured in the US. So
Yeah.
it's, but I mean, I was terrified to place an order for my fabric. Like, oh, this
Yeah.
is all speculation at this point, and people are so crazy. And I just want
Yes.
people to hear what's really happening in the world right now, hear from the horse's mouth instead of reading about it online and everybody freaking out. So it's kind of nice to hear you
Yeah.
haven't had to navigate any of that yet either.
Luckily, yeah, though I do know a lot of people have been impacted. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, but we've been lucky. I would just say my approach in the beginning was like I was very panicky a lot and I thought
Mhm.
that things were actually going to happen and then like they would just never happen. So then now I'm at the point where I'm like unless this actually goes into law and there's like a sign on the dotted line, I'm trying not to stress too much. And as much as you can scenario play, you don't want to over scenario play either because that takes your attention away from like just selling your product, which is what you have to do.
Yes.
So I'm trying not to like, and yeah, that may bite me in the ass in a couple months, but
No, I don't think so because nobody knows what it's really going to look
you
like.
just
So
don't.
why waste this energy on, put your blinders on for now.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah,
doing.
yeah. That's I know, which sounds probably really bad advice, but that's what I've been doing. I'm like, I'm just an ostrich in the sand. We'll see.
Oh my God, my sister's a psychiatrist, and she always says,
Oh
Lori,
yeah,
don't make something a catastrophe before it is. Because I used to be famous for that. And when she said that to me, she's like, what's the worst thing that could happen if something bad happens? And I
yeah.
always try to think that now and just focus on the good things and what I can control. So,
Yes. Yes.
and
Well, it's that's the ticket to resiliency, though. I think you
yeah,
have to do that. That's like
yeah.
self-preservation as a founder. Because and talk about, I mean, I'm sure you had the same experience. In the early days, the things that used to send me into a tailspin, now I'm like,
Who cares, right?
whatever, I'll figure it out. Like there's a solution. Like, I mean, the fact I'm so zen now about like the funny example, not to like rattle on too long, but I was at a lunch with some friends a few months ago and I'm just sitting at lunch, like, and I look at my phone, I get a text from one of my employees saying, you know, our latest inventory run, which has been on a truck coming from our filler to our warehouse, had a massive accident. It was very unfortunate, like a catastrophic accident on the
Oh,
way. And anyway, it was like, and all the products been destroyed. And I'm just sitting at lunch and I turn to my girlfriends. I'm like, oh man, I just got this note. And all of them were kind of like, shouldn't you be freaking out right now? Like, this is a crazy thing. And I was like, yeah, we're going to figure it out. It's all good. Like, the thing I'm most worried about is like the health of the driver at this
yeah.
point. We're going
Yeah.
to figure out what to do. We have insurance, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's just so interesting how like the journey of the entrepreneur and how like your resiliency, your just your tolerance for chaos just completely it changes over the years and I feel like I could literally handle anything at this point.
My friend Angela Kim is a beauty entrepreneur, product manufacturer in New York City, and she calls
Yeah.
it gorgeous chaos.
Yeah.
Kind of what it becomes.
And I think honestly, like we kind of like it in a way. It's like, I don't know. I think we're kind of all like sycophants in a way. Like we're or not sycophants. What's the word? Sorry, that's not the right word. Masochists. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, for business chaos.
Yeah.
I will say you seem to have the three things that I always say a founder, a beauty entrepreneur needs, and that is clarity, focus, organization. Like if you don't embody those three things, it becomes hard to be successful. So tell me, where is your weak point? Where do you feel like, oh, I don't have it all together? Or is
Mm.
there something that will make you second guess everything still on repeat that you have to remind yourself this isn't true?
I feel like one of my weaknesses is I get a lot of advice all the time. Like I have investors and giving me advice. I have advisors, I have family, I have friends, I have other founders. Like I love to like workshop things and get advice. And I feel like it's very easy to fall into the trap of like, oh, that so and so said I should do this. We're doing that. And then I'll come to my team and be like, this is what we're doing. And then they'll all be like, well, wait, that was so different than what you said yesterday. And I think developing a really strong filter of information
Yeah.
and like an arbiter, like being able to just like really think through what people tell you and like in the moment, it might feel like the best advice in the world, but then, you got to really take the time to think. I think it's very easy to like jump sometimes to like, oh, that sounds like the solution. And sometimes it just needs a little more thought. And I feel like that's maybe my my weakness. And just like when I'm negotiating something or, putting together, bringing on a partner or an employee or like making like a big strategic decision, just really important. Like take a breath, gather all the information, filter it through your brain. And also at the end of the day, like trust your gut because a lot of times it's right.
Oh, that makes me take a deep breath, right? Like I
Yeah.
think that's a reminder everyone in business needs. Trust your gut because it's so
Yeah.
truthful to your soul and your brain and every part of your being.
Yeah. Yeah. It's usually right. Yeah. And just like taking advice, like not everybody is an expert. Not everybody's been through what you're going through. Like just try to like listen all, take it all in. And then at the end of the day, like, use your own gut filters to make the decision.
So as we wrap up the show today, this podcast has been going strong since 2015 before people knew what a podcast was. I was
Amazing.
encouraged to do it by a business mentor, and I'm so glad that I did. And the show seems to be gathering younger and younger beauty entrepreneurs as listeners. And I want to know how, some people are saving for their wedding dress, some are young moms. How, as a young mom, do you do it all? What success tip or advice would you give our listeners who are trying to figure out all of the scheduling and the staying sane and the self-care, all the good stuff?
I would say number one, like lower your expectations of yourself, your ability to like do it all. Even that word, like as people often say, like, how do you do it all? Like just as like a factual question. The answer is like, you can't really do it all. You can do it all. Can you do it all really well at your maximum is usually no. At least in my case, like I know that if I'm really like optimal at my business one day or like my best founder self, I'm usually not my best parent that day for whatever reason, whether it's I'm late for my kid at school or I'm not as present between 5 and 8 because I'm putting out a fire or whatever it is. So I think it's like about being kind to yourself and kind of accepting that you're not going to be able to do it all and do your best because it's just impossible as a woman in business who has children.
Yeah.
Number two, I would say like really try to get as much help as you can. Cause like for me, like I have a very involved partner who's like, a really great involved dad, like in the details. And like I need him for that. And I rely on him heavily for that. And if you don't have that, because you have a partner who's maybe, also work is like all consuming, make sure that you have the right people in your life, someone who can really help you. Cause like never be afraid to ask for help. Cause I certainly need a lot of it. And I lean on that and I lean on my village. But no, it's really hard. Like, people often say like, you talk about their experiences and like, I don't always encourage it. I'm not always like, follow your dreams, do this. It's the best. Like, it's really hard and you got to be kind of ready to balance a lot of things and kind of be comfortable in the chaos, as you said earlier. And it's not for everyone. But it can also be amazing. I think that there's a lot of reward to the risk, but really be thoughtful about what you're going to do before you jump in, I think.
How old are your girls? You said you have two daughters.
Yeah, 3 and 6. So I'm in like the heat of it. I have a 3-year-old. What can I say? I'm like a shell of a human being.
And I was going to say, do they help you out at all? But probably
no, no, if anything, they like fully suck the life out of me. No, my 3-year-old anyway. My 6-year-old is becoming like, I mean, she's now entering like that phase of girlhood that like is a lot more. I can see actually, we were just talking about it last time. Like, when do you think you'd be ready to come to a trade show with me? Like, probably at 8. Like, you could be there. You'd be really cute. But yeah, no, it's a tough time. I think there's like studies showing that like the best time to launch a business is either before you have kids or in your 50s, I believe. Like, there's like a real like the 30s and 40s are, it's an intense
meant
time.
for something else usually.
Yeah, yeah. But, if the timing works out this way, then you figure it out. You do. You do.
Oh my goodness. Well, you seem like you really have it all going on in
Oh,
such a
thank
beautiful
you.
way. So thank you for sharing that today.
Yes.
And I know people probably have their phone in their hand going, wait, I don't know how to Google this person or the brand. What's your URL? Will you spell it out?
Yes. So it's www.mypaume, spelled PAUME.com. And then we're also on Instagram at mypaume. But yeah, if you Google Paume hand care, we'll find you. Um,
And I know we chatted before the show and I said, let's just go with the flow. But I did want to ask you, how did you come up with that name? It's so cool.
yeah, thanks. It was so hard. Oh my God. That was like a very difficult few weeks, but, I wanted a name that was just a single name. I loved the idea of just like a very simple one word name. And I I liked the idea of two of it. Like palm of the hand is
Yeah.
palm is palm of the hand in French. So in Canada, we speak a lot of French. I personally don't speak a ton, though. I can speak a little. And I just loved that word. It felt so like elegant and simple, and it just seemed to fit. And then also secondary to that, it was available, which is really hard just to find a name
Yes.
that's available. So I looked out on that one.
That's kind of my North Star. If it's available as a website URL, then I know it's totally meant to be.
Yeah, or trademarked. Like, yeah, my trademark lawyer finally, I've sent him so many things and he was like, nope, nope, nope. And then finally it was like, yes. It's like, yeah, it's it. So yeah,
Website and a trademark, then done
yeah,
deal. Move on.
move on. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Amy. I really enjoyed talking to you and I
Yeah.
can't wait to try the product.
Thanks, Laura. You too. Appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to the Beauty Biz Show. I hope the episode has left you feeling inspired to build the beauty biz of your dreams. As always, we appreciate your kind reviews as it helps us attract amazing guests to be interviewed. Also, be sure to give me a follow on Instagram at Lori_BeautyBiz and SpaStar_Lux. If you'd like to know more about how we can work together, visit beautybizclub.com, where we are busy helping estheticians create outrageously abundant careers.